There is a specific reason why you wake up tired, even after 8 hours of sleep. There is a reason why your ambition flares up at night, but evaporates by morning. You are not aging prematurely. You are not depressed. You are leaking. You aren't just losing physical energy. You are bleeding out the raw ability to command reality. You are losing the only substance capable of changing your life. Imagine a high-performance engine that is constantly being siphoned of its fuel. That engine is your monad, the divine spark localized within your biology. It is designed to burn with a power that can bend reality, but it remains cold and dormant. Why? Because the fuel it requires, your vital essence, is being harvested before it ever reaches ignition. Observe the modern ritual. A man lies in the dark, bathed in the blue light of a screen. He thinks he is unwinding. He scrolls. He watches. He releases. The dopamine spikes, and then the silence. The fog. He calls it relief. But in the unseen realms, it is a transaction. That release was not nature calling. It was the control system, what the Gnostics called the Archon matrix, collecting its tax. They have engineered a reality where your creative potency is triggered not to build, not to ascend, but to spill. If you feel meant for something higher but lack the drive to reach it, you are not broken. You are simply empty. The system is designed to keep your tank low enough to survive, but too empty to escape. Tonight, we stop the harvest. We will dismantle the triggers planted in your environment and hand you the protocol for monad activation. This is not about moral abstinence. This is strategic resource management for spiritual warfare. Welcome to the resistance. You have been told spiritual awakening is a matter of the mind, that if you pray or meditate enough, the divine spark will simply ignite. This is the deception. Stop trying to think your way to enlightenment. The monad is not a philosophy. It is a hyperdimensional engine anchored in your flesh. It ignores your intentions. It only responds to fuel. You cannot power a nuclear reactor with coal, nor activate the monad with mere thoughts. It demands a substance that matches its frequency. You are not just a biological organism. You are a walking alchemical lab, but nobody gave you the manual. Think about the energy required to create a human life. It is violent, explosive, and miraculous, the only force capable of pulling a soul from the ether and binding it to matter. This is creative life force. The ancients called it telesma, the concentrated power of the cosmos, condensed into liquid state. As it is written in the Gospel of Thomas, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. This is not a metaphor, it is biology. You are generating raw, unrefined consciousness. This energy vibrates at the creation frequency. Your monad recognizes this fuel because they are the same substance. Your vital essence is the raw material of creation. When you release this energy cheaply, you aren't just losing fluids, you are lowering your voltage. That brain fog, that lack of motivation, that is not tiredness. That is your system trying to run on empty. The ancients understood this. When you retain, the body stops acting as a release valve and becomes a crucible. But Archons rely on your ignorance. They need you to believe this energy is infinite. They pathologize retention because they fear your accumulation. Because once you stop the leak, energy transforms. It circulates, repairing the frayed wiring of your psyche, preparing for monad activation. Without this high-octane fuel, your practices are empty rituals. The silence of the monad is not absence, it is starvation. So before we discuss how they steal it, accept the gravity of what you possess. You carry the fire of the gods. Every drop is a potential universe. To reclaim sovereignty, Stop treating your most precious resource like waste. Now, observe the battlefield. It is not a trench or a wasteland. It is the glowing rectangle in your pocket. The Archon matrix does not need to chain your body if it can chain your biochemistry. They engineered a global infrastructure with a single directive: keep the fuel tank empty. Consider the statistical anomaly. A century ago, a man might encounter a hyper-stimulating trigger once a month. Today, you are bombarded with thousands before lunch. This is not natural evolution. It is artificial escalation. The algorithms governing your screen are not trying to entertain you. They are hunting you. They track your gaze. They analyze pause times. Artificial intelligence maps your specific desires better than you know them yourself. It knows exactly what image, sound, or sequence is required to bypass your logic. The algorithm knows your trigger before you feel the urge. It is predicting your relapse. They don't need immediate release. They only need to keep you in a state of constant low-level arousal. They need your energy simmering, leaking out in microdoses, preventing the pressure required to crack the ceiling of the ego. This is the design of the digital Skinner box. You have been conditioned like a lab animal. But instead of food, the reward is a cheap dopamine spike. Here lies the trap. Your brain cannot distinguish between pixels and a real partner. It mobilizes vital essence for creation, only for you to flush it away into a void. When you crash after release, the shame is not moral judgment. It is the physiological sensation of spiritual bankruptcy. The brain fog, the lack of motivation, these are the sound of a monad being starved. In this depleted state, you become pliable. A man with a full tank of creative force is dangerous. He is charismatic, focused, and difficult to control. But a man who drains himself daily, he is docile, content to accept a reality too small for his soul. The Archons know if you retain for just a few weeks, the fog lifts and chains loosen. So they ensure temptation is omnipresent. You must realize this is not a failure of willpower. You are standing in a crossfire, unshielded. The thoughts urging you to just take a peek are often not yours. They broadcast on a frequency a depleted mind cannot filter. Stop blaming yourself. Start seeing the enemy. You are not addicted. You are under siege. And the only way to win is to cut their supply line. To do that, you need more than good intentions. You need a protocol. You need a weapon. The resistance begins with a conscious decision to close the valve. We are not talking about trying to do better. We are talking about a strategic protocol, the 30-day conservation cycle. Why 30 days? Because biology dictates the timeline of the spirit. 7 days is a spike. But 30 days is a metamorphosis. It takes this long for the vital essence to saturate the blood and reach the critical mass required for the monad to notice the signal. But mere abstinence is where most men fail. They stop the release, but they let the energy sit stagnant in the lower centers. This leads to aggression and inevitable relapse. You must move the fire. Warning: do not perform the following technique if you are merely seeking relaxation. This is not meditation. This is bioenergetic activation. It generates internal heat and intense mental pressure. Proceed with focus. Here is the technique the ancients guarded. When you feel that surge, that sudden electric pull of arousal, do not fight it. That urge is raw power knocking at the door. Welcome it. Then redirect it. Stand your ground. Close your eyes. Visualize that pool of heat in your lower abdomen. Now, use your breath as a hydraulic pump. Take a deep, forceful inhale. Visualize pulling that liquid fire upward from the base of your spine. Pull it into the gut. Compress it. Hold. Inhale again. Drag it higher, past the solar plexus into the chest. Feel your heart center expand with heat. One final breath. Force it through the throat, past the eyes, and lock it firmly at the crown of your head. You are physically moving the creative life force from the basement of instinct to the penthouse of divine intelligence. You are feeding the monad directly. The agitation in your loins vanishes, replaced by a buzzing clarity in your mind. This is not a placebo. This is bioelectricity in action. And if the energy becomes too volatile, ground it. The body must move. Cold water, heavy iron, sprinting. These are not just healthy habits. They are transmutation tools. When the urge hits, drop to the floor and push the earth away until your muscles burn. You are teaching your body a new language, that arousal is not a signal to release, but a command to create. You are turning lust into drive, impulse into impact. The Archons want you to waste it. You are going to weaponize it. There is a final trap you must avoid. Many men successfully retain their essence, they master the breath, but then they make a fatal error. They hoard the energy. They treat it like a savings account, terrified to spend a drop. This leads to stagnation, aggression, and inevitable relapse. You must understand the physics of the monad. It is not a storage tank. It is a quantum projector. Think of your reality as a movie screen. For years, the Archons have been running the projector, feeding you a script of scarcity, fear, and dependency. Why? Because you had no light of your own to override their image. This is the secret that the law of attraction gurus rarely explain. You cannot manifest with a depleted battery. You can visualize a Ferrari or a new life all day long. But if your biological frequency is low, the signal never leaves your skull. It has no density. It has no weight. But when you are charged with 30 days of creative fuel, your intention becomes a laser. The monad uses this high-frequency energy to imprint your will onto the fabric of space-time. So here is the advanced instruction. Do not just circulate the energy. Direct it. When you feel that surge of power after a transmutation breath, do not just sit there. Pick a target. Focus on that business problem you can't solve. Focus on the chaotic relationship you need to fix. Pour that sensation of heat directly into that mental image. Visualize the image glowing white-hot under the intensity of your focus. You are not just imagining it. You are welding that reality into existence using your vital essence as the flame. The Archons want you to use this energy for biological reproduction or to waste it on fleeting pleasure. You must refuse both. Instead, use it to create your empire. Use it to birth a new timeline. The energy must flow. If it doesn't flow into a woman, and it doesn't flow into a tissue, it must flow into a mission. If you do not give this energy a job, it will tear you apart. But if you give it a purpose, it becomes the ink with which you rewrite your destiny. When you finally cut the supply line, do not expect peace. Expect a riot. The first week of this protocol is violent. As fuel begins to accumulate, the Archon entities, operating through your own neurochemistry, will panic. They will throw every suppressed fantasy and every emotional trigger at you. Your mind will scream for the old patterns. This screaming is a good sign. It is the sound of the parasite starving. Do not feed it. Then you may hit the silent trap, the flat line. Around week 2, your energy might suddenly drop. You will feel empty. You will feel dead inside. The system is trying to trick you into thinking the practice isn't working. It is trying to bribe you back to the old habits with the promise of a quick fix. Reject the bribe. Hold the line. This is not failure. This is the reboot. Your receptors are healing. By day 21, the silence breaks. A low, steady hum of power begins to vibrate in your chest. You walk into a room. and the atmosphere shifts. People respect you more. They are drawn to you without knowing why. They are sensing the accumulation of vital essence. You are becoming magnetic because you are no longer a void. You are becoming a source. And then comes day 30. This is the threshold. When monad activation fully engages, the game changes entirely. You realize that the anxiety, the fear, and the sense of smallness were never yours. They were side effects of low battery power. The Archon triggers no longer hook into you because your frequency has risen above their reach. This brings us to the most dangerous truth of all. The reason this knowledge was scrubbed from history books, the reason the Gnostics were silenced, is not because this practice is unhealthy. It was suppressed because a man with an activated monad is ungovernable. A man who accesses the source of power within his own biology has no need for external authority. He cannot be manipulated by fear. He cannot be seduced by cheap distractions. He does not need a priest to tell him what is holy, nor a politician to tell him what is true. He becomes a law unto himself. The system is built on the backs of weak, depleted men looking for a savior. It cannot survive a generation of men who have saved themselves. By reclaiming your energy, you are doing more than improving your life. You are committing an act of cosmic rebellion. You are tearing up the contract of servitude and reclaiming your birthright as a creator. The secret is no longer hidden. It is in your hands. You now possess the missing variable that explains why your spiritual path has felt like walking through mud. The Archons rely on your ignorance, but tonight, that advantage has been stripped away. You know what the fuel is. You know where it is going. And you know how to reclaim it. The clock starts now, not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. If you are ready to turn your body from a graveyard of energy into a fortress of power, this is where you leave your mark. Subscribe to this frequency. This is not just a content feed. It is an archive of the divine codes. We are building a weapon here. And in the coming transmissions, we will deploy the advanced tactics for wielding it. You do not want to fight this war without the manual. And before you close this session, execute your first act of rebellion. Go to the comments below and write 2 words: monad activation. Do not just think it, type it. Let it be the digital signal that a battery has just disconnected from the grid. Let the algorithm know you are awake. And if you have a brother who is still sleeping, struggling, depleted, running on empty, do not let him die in the trenches. Pass this transmission to him. Waking him up strengthens the line for all of us. Now enter the sacred space of your own mind. Repeat this internal command. Let it vibrate through your bones. Say it with me. I am the vessel. I am the fuel. I am the flame. Every urge is a reminder. Every trigger is a test. Every breath is a transmutation. You are 30 days away from a version of yourself that the system cannot recognize and cannot control. Your monad is waiting for the signal. Give it the fuel. Light the fire. I will see you in the higher frequencies.